Hello, good afternoon. You're welcome to another episode. We're in the house right now on Precious Television. My name is Smart Techi Next, and I'm in the studio with some friends. We have a discussion to delve into, and we are taking a look at some issues that have popped up in the social media circles. You can join us live on Facebook and also on YouTube with the name at Precious TV Official. Forgive me, my voice is a little hoarse, and I'm gonna leave there talking to my friends who are in the studio. Last week we began some discussions on the millennials today and the regrets they express in relation to marriage. It's been a lot of talk, and there's a big issue in Ghana today still connected to marriage, but then again we'll stay focused because I hope it's from the Lord.
Rapper
Anyway,
gospel
rapper turn gospel artist. It's very, very important. Charlie, the issues, chow. The issues, chow. The issues are a lot. You're welcome to Be Frank, the only Christian podcast that is frank about social issues. On my right, we have Pastor Newton. Pastor Newton, welcome.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, and congratulations on your book launch.
Yes.
I told you I need this thing called ministry. I must read that book.
Yes, please.
I mean, I've read about love, but I want to know the ministry one.
Yes, please.
The ministry one. And we have Miss Ginger in the studio. Miss Ginger is in the studio with us today. Ginger, Charlie, how's it going, man?
Like me, I love the weather, so I'm in
The rains are pouring.
in my zone.
You're in your zone.
Yeah,
Charlie, I like the weather. Like
The heat in the system. Those who can afford the AC.
it's not really about the heat.
Yeah.
It's about the
You seen that video? The two kids that went to a certain shop,
No.
and the owner said, "What are you doing here?" She said, "Yeah, but GAC." There's no AC at home, so when they came to the shop earlier, they felt good, and they came
so
back
they
again
came
just
back.
to enjoy.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
God should bless everyone. Is important. Okay, so check with the time. We're doing about some 13 minutes into the hour of 2. We are inside afternoon, and I'm going to be talking to Miss Ginger and Pastor Newton about some regrets of the millennials. But then, how did this begin? How did this begin? There was a post that we're going to share with you. Producer will be getting ready to share the post with you. That brought about a lot of comments, though the commentary is what we are discussing in the studio. What is the present day knowledge on relationship and marriages in general? A lot of people would say the context is different. Some people are saying the dynamics have changed. Others also argue that the society in which we find ourselves in today does not warrant a lot of foolishness. In parentheses, I beg your pardon. But then it's important we bring these issues to bear so we can discuss it without fear or favor, because this is a Christian podcast and we are frank about societal issues. So, producer, if you're ready, kindly put up the post that came up, and a lot of people had comments about this particular post. But then again, it says that married women, what is your greatest regret about marriage? That was the post. Advise the single girls. It could be about anything. Married women, what is your greatest regret about marriage? Advise the single girls. It could be about anything. Now, last week we delved into some issues.
Yeah.
So we want to take a look at some of the comments that came in. So, producer, you can show us some comments. We looked at the fact that a lady said never do 50-50 in marriage.
Yeah.
Never. And yet, don't do it. Don't do 50-50. And we had more comments also. Never let your man know how much you make. That is a married woman advising single ladies. Never let your man know how much you make.
So these comments are from the women.
The women.
The men are not advising.
No. The men, we don't have time to advise. If you want to suffer alone. Okay, so can we take a look at the next comment for today's discussion? Let's take a look at the next comment so we can begin now. This one, I think, deserves some contributions in the studio. Ginger, what do we have? Says never quit your job because of marriage, because there will reach a point where you may not be in position to provide.
The man.
where he may not be in position to provide for your needs before we get to other matters. But first of all, let me ask you, would you ever quit your job for your marriage?
Yes.
You would?
Yeah.
Can you tell us why?
For starters,
So producer, we are back in the studio. You should let our viewers see
my
us.
job may not necessarily be what I want to do for the rest of my life. As I grow, there are things that will change because life is very dynamic. So when I get to the point where I feel I need a break, I don't mind going off for a while and then taking care of the kids. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Okay. So this particular break you're talking about, that quit that is coming in, how will the conversation be like? Because we are trying to not just
with
comment
me
on
and
the
the
matter
man. Right.
precisely.
Okay.
So now we are doing more of education now. We are not just commenting on the issue, but if somebody is watching us and someone says, "Hey, sweetheart,
Contemplating that.
quit your job," what are some of the things they should be looking out for? What are some of the things
Well-
they should consider before quitting their jobs?
Okay, for me, the first thing is fulfillment on your side and happiness. So, for starters, the thing is, the current job you're holding, are you fulfilled? Some people are fulfilled when they work. Some people are fulfilled when they take care of family. Some people are fulfilled when they cook. So, it all depends on who you are as a person and where you are currently at that point. So, the first question I ask myself, here's what: does my job make me happy? When you take the happiness bit away, then I ask, what does my job bring me? And I'm talking about money at this point. I'm talking about remuneration. So if and I'm in a job where, say, maybe I may be happy, but it's not bringing me anything, I'll have to reassess because it not be happiness man go chop. We need money to do these things. So first and foremost, I'll ask myself, okay, if you look, Ms. Ginger, do you want to do this? Do you still want to keep doing this? Then I'll have a conversation with my husband about it. If he doesn't support the decision, we'll still have to talk because at the end of the day, you don't want a miserable wife at home. And a job is a part where you spend about more than 50% of your life at the workplace. So you don't want a spillover of work pressure into the home because if I close from work and constantly I'm miserable, it's going to have
bring everything.
an effect on my hormones for starters. And hormones are a big deal. Beyond that, my spiritual life, because we are a Christian couple, so my job is a type that doesn't allow me to do midweek. The only time I get to have any quality time with God is on Sundays. Why? Because I'm tired, I'm cranky, I can't wake up and pray. How do we build the family at that point? So all these things have to come in so that we need to get to the point where, look, here's what, honey, this is where we want to go. One, I'm not happy. I want to come out and make sure that, okay, here's what, maybe your job is a type that also takes you away for a long time. Who takes care of the children at that point? And the home, who does that? Nanny, beautiful. Maybe I don't believe in that.
Can we afford it? It's also another question.
There is that. Beyond the affording, I can afford. You see, afford is on. There are levels to this afford thing.
Afford money for 70 CDs.
No, it's not. No, it's not even that. It's not even about that. Afford has the do you have the luxury? Because a nanny is not just a human being who will take your stress away.
Okay.
A nanny is a dynamic, a different dynamic to your relationship. People think it's not the money. Whom are you bringing beyond the spiritual aspect?
Beliefs, concepts, moral
you.
compass. How is the person going to bring up the kids and all that?
Beyond that, how is the person going to affect your family dynamics?
Precisely.
What is she going to do for you? So all these things have to be talked. So if I have to get out of it to make it happen, me as a person, I don't mind. Though.
You don't mind?
No, at all.
Awesome.
Actually, I don't mind.
Pastor Newton, at what point would you tell your wife, sweetheart, stay at home?
First of all, we'd have to look at if the ability to run the home, the man's salary, because I sometimes believe the men rather can stay at home and the women should work.
Hey.
Yes,
please.
Hey.
I want that life. I want
Hey.
Because you see, before we do that discussion, we look at what each person is bringing home.
Hey.
No, we must look at.
You are not in support of a stay-at-home.
No,
now.
it's not a support. It's a new concept.
It's a
I
new
haven't
concept.
thought about it.
Okay. I've seen.
We are bringing it.
Yes.
It's the new age.
Yeah.
It's the new age.
This
We
is
also
the
want to
first
stay
time-
at home.
this is the first time I'm
They
hearing
should go
about
and work and bring the money.
That's
Oh
all.
my God.
No, because if the lady is not bringing much to the table, then your salary as the man is more than the woman.
Yeah.
Then I advise that. But let's say in the case the woman is earning 5,000 and the man is earning 2,000, and our expenses mostly is around 4,000. It's you, the man, that must stay if there's a need for someone to stay. Because the reason why I ask is that most of the time we conclude that the man should be the one to provide. But there are times where the man is not doing anything, and if the woman rather who's doing something stays home, what happens to the home? So we must look at that. And unless in the case where I would only bring in aside what you are bringing to the table when children start coming in, because parenting is one of the things that I am very concerned about. But in the early stages where both of you are married, there's no child, there's no pregnancy yet, and you are proposing, you will become even a lazy person at home, because when you get up, there's nothing. You clean, when you are cleaning and sweeping, latest by 7 you are done. And what will you be doing?
The whole day.
I am a germophobe. So
What's a germophobe?
A germophobe. I'm a
Germophobe.
Yes.
What's a germophobe?
Somebody who has this irrational fear of germs, so the person is constantly cleaning. So I clean more than I can clean the whole
But
day.
maybe you
then
should
we
make
can
a
start,
business out.
Yeah, we will start a cleaning business.
Maybe you start a
See,
business
so, yeah,
out of
so
it. You
there
know?
is that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined in the studios by KB the MC. Yeah, in the house is KB the MC. How's it going, my brother? Powerful. The weather is good.
It depends on who you are.
And it depends on where you live.
Yeah.
If it's a Blekuma, NIC, you are in trouble.
Kaswa.
If it's Kaswa, Weja, you are in trouble. You know, the people are suffering, but it's all good. It's all good. It's good to have you in the studio.
Yes, sir.
We're looking at millennials and the regrets they have about marriage. And our topic for today, the lady says, never quit your job for the marriage. Because there comes a time. When I take a look at the comment, from my perspective, I think it makes sense. Because I think there should be a conversation. Never quit your job for the marriage, because there will come a time where he cannot provide for your needs anymore. And I think that it is critical one, and also it's a conversation that needs a lot of discussion. You know, for me, I don't see myself ever telling my wife to stay at home. I would have wished like I had millions of Ghana cedis and dollars.
You only stay at home when I'm also staying at home.
Yes, because it's a big conversation, taking into consideration the current economic conditions, the fluctuations as well, the unpredictability of the nation, and a lot of things that are happening. Someone is employed yesterday, and this morning they are unemployed, and so there are a lot of things that you cannot fathom. So when people say, "Oh, my wife, I've told her to stay at home," I'm like, Charlie, God bless you. Because it's something that a lot of people would want to do. But it brings up a lot of questions where someone says that a lady was asked to quit her job because the husband had gotten an appointment outside of the country. So quit your job and follow me, let's go.
Okay.
And in the submission of Pastor Newton, I read another perspective to the matter. When the lady is equally doing very well, how can that conversation go? Because you're making 8K, all right? You the gentleman, you make 8K a month. That's 8,000 Ghana cedis a month. Your wife makes 15,000 cedis a month. You have an opportunity to work outside. Then you are like, they said, "Oh, you can bring your dependents, and you have just your wife, no kids yet." And like, babe, quit the 15K job and let's go to Canada. Because now Canada is the issue. So KB, what's your perspective about people asking their wives to quit their jobs for the marriage? Because Ginger also mentioned kids. When kids come in, it changes the dynamics of the marriage.
Well, so at the end of the day, both partners are in to win. So as in win-win for the marriage or the relationship to work. So compromises here and there have to happen. But if the dependent, being the spouse, will be given a work permit to work outside, why not? In Canada, why not? Unless the situation where the status of the husband or the expat husband will not permit her to work. I almost said him or her because this is Canada we are talking about.
Oh God, no.
Your spouse to be on the safer side to work. I think why not? Then you can go with her with and her underlined
Or him.
or him. Yes, to go and work there. But in the situation where work permit will not be, is strictly not going to be given, then that's where the two of you have to have a conversation. You look at the cost-benefit analysis, the opportunity cost. If it will weigh too much on the relationship, at the end of the day, the marriage has to win. That's why I said win-win. So if the marriage has to win and she has to stay in the resident or current country, then that conversation has been. But if she coming over is what's going to bridge the marriage, then at the end of the day, anything that will make the marriage, because somebody say, oh, by leaving your wife, but it maybe leaving your wife here is what will make the marriage win.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to me, a pragmatic approach.
A pragmatic approach.
But
would you ever get there? Where you tell your wife, stay at home?
Stay in the country or stay at
No,
home,
at home, don't
Ghana.
work.
Housewife,
Don't
excuse
work.
me. to say.
Like the advice was never quit your job for marriage.
Media quitting job there.
You wouldn't advise her?
I don't think so.
You think that the lady should be doing something?
Well, if you see, it also depends on the individual. Some people also get fulfillment tendering at home with kids and all that. So it's also about where the fulfillment is coming from. But if you are going to let her stay at home, you have to financially reward her.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets tricky in our part of the world. It's like, oh, she quits her job, and then the husbands usually think she's staying at home is no work for her to be financially rewarded.
Yeah.
That was some people are staunch on, I will not back down, I will work. But if there's a financial consideration and both parties agree, why not? She can stay at home and still get paid.
I think there was a terminology that was developed some 3 years ago on paid care work.
Okay.
That some women were pushing that it should happen some way, somehow. Because you are not home and she's doing most of the work. The house chores are being taken care of. Everything is done and dusted before you get home. And you should have that at the back of your mind that, oh, if we were to bring in someone else to cater for all these things, we would have paid the person.
Exactly.
So if the wife is doing that, she doesn't necessarily have to come to you every day asking you money to buy female needs.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so you should have some amount put aside
Yeah.
for that particular thing that she's doing. You know,
Or it can also I don't know, in Ghana it's a bit difficult to have flexible job schedules. Otherwise, like, she can have a job schedule where between when the kids are dropped at school and when they are picked up, she can be doing some
Yeah,
child
that's
minding
what I
or some
wanted to
form
say.
of working from home, intensive working from home within that 6-7 hour space, and can still be paid.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
conversation.
like
we can
there
have.
are job opportunities abroad you can do remotely in Ghana. So
Exactly.
maybe something like that. Or she has a skill she can be doing. Like, for instance, I know a lady who used to work in a bank but knows how to sew. So such a person, when the husband says she should stop, she can get a machine and be sewing, and the time the children are away, she can be sewing, and this our online marketing here and there. People will see what she does. She delivers quickly. She come back before the time the children closes and stuff.
maybe Ginger will spend her whole time cleaning the sewing machine.
Oh, yeah, because at least it shouldn't just be you are just there, you are not doing it. Some
True.
will say they are relaxing for the pressure from the children to start coming.
There are people who, for me, I think it's not this or that.
Yeah. Yeah.
To each his own.
Yeah.
Somebody doesn't mind just staying at home and doing nothing. Nothing is in quotes because we cannot define nothing, because nothing differs from person to person. So
Yeah.
that is also allowed. The key thing is the marriage thriving?
Mm.
Are both of you in agreement?
Agreement. Yeah.
So when for
Agreement.
me, if these two
Yeah.
factors are fulfilled,
That's
what you choose to do with your time,
Yeah.
it's your business. The longer, as my friends KB the MC will say, it's a win-win situation. So
Yeah.
are we winning together?
Yeah.
Okay, and winning on it covers everything. We are not leaving anything out, so everything is. So once that, what you choose to do with your time,
Yeah.
that's your problem.
Yeah. Some too, the lady too may want to do something to feel fulfilled aside being home. So that discussion, when it's hard, a person can do something. Someone even use that time to be doing an online schooling. So that,
Yeah, it's all about
Then
you.
deliberately there should be a program where would-be wives learn vocational skills.
Yeah.
That is if they want.
If they want. Yeah.
But because some people do not have the interest.
Yeah.
The key, it's very important
Yeah.
because some people start work right from university and they work, and guess what? They're like, I'm tired. I want to rest. So when they
Get up.
when they marry, depending on the agreement, they don't want to take a few.
Extra, yeah.
They just want to take that time and ease into whatever the next step. As I said initially, so
Yeah.
where are you going from here? You know, so maybe the stop working, maybe it may not be till infinite. Maybe some 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. For some men, was okay. Here's what. Some people will agree and say, okay, here's what. Let's get the children out of the woods. Maybe by the time they are 3, they can at least communicate properly their needs and everything. then you can ease back into the workspace. So it is not like stop work forever and ever, although there is that. But what I was talking about is the maybe say take a break for a period.
So
and then maybe
for the formative years of the children,
maybe
you can take a break there.
Yes.
And focus on the tendering.
Yes.
And once the kids are up to the stage where they are able to, you can go back to the work. So it's always about the conversation. So it's very fluid, as in
it's fluid.
what the two of them would agree on.
Yes.
Like KB said, it's a win-win situation. So, okay, sweetheart, I think that is too much on you. Having to work, come back and take care of the kids. So in the next 3 years, I'll be handling the whole.
Having a plan.
Yes, the plan must be there.
Yeah.
And we can have the conversation. So there are still more comments on that particular post. Says, married women, please advise the single ones some of the regrets you have about marriage. We've looked at the fact that one said never do 50-50 with your husband. Never do that. The next person also said never let your husband know how much you make. And never take on bills, which we delved into last year. We were all wondering, the bills, who is it for? Is it for the man in the house? It's very, very crazy. So let's take a look at more comments. You can join in the conversation on our WhatsApp line, 020-343-8710. 020-343-8710. So producer, if you have more comments, please drop them. Let's take a look at the comments in there. Then we can delve deep into the other issues. But what is it really nowadays? What is it really about the conversations the millennials are having about marriage? I know that there's a big issue in Ghana right now, and I wouldn't want it to be like our focus. So we want to do a derivation. We want to do a derivation of KB how people
at all.
He knows. KB knows.
Doesn't know what's happening.
Who knows tomorrow?
Because I have not obtained clearance from my executive producer.
I know.
So I'll try as much as possible not to comment on that matter.
And I don't even think it's a good thing. Looking at the platform.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
need,
so
medication.
Precisely. So we must take a look at some of the commentary, Pastor Newton.
Oh my God.
Pastor Newton.
Oh my God.
We must take a look at some of the commentary coming from the millennials about marriages today.
Right.
You know, everybody is like, I some way, somehow think that there's too much negative commentary about marriage and also relationship in general, because someone is happy to talk about their relationship and you go through the comment section, we a newcomer. It will end in tears, and it has just started, so you are happy, and you begin to ask, is there no happy place?
Well,
is there no happy place in marriages and relationships today?
I think, okay, so I'm going to say something very controversial and then please, but I think a big part of those people are pretending. That's number one. No, it's the same thing, and they are hypocrites. Because they are just saying those things to please a certain narrative, but in their heart of hearts and in their minds, that they don't subscribe to that.
They are envious, jealous.
When you talk to them, okay, they feel that it's like being cool. It has become a fad now. What you're talking about, it's a fad. So I want to feel among, as the local parlance. I want to feel among. I want to. How do I say? I want to belong. Yes, that's the word. But it's a bad sense of belonging, because they just want to see. So they hear the narrative. Now we are afraid to stick out. We have become conformists. Go with the flow.
Right.
Nobody wants to stand out, because standing out means we become.
You must shoulder a lot of backlash,
and we become very judgmental, and there's a lot of scrutiny, and also nobody wants to. Very few people have the gravitas, let me put it that way, to take on that
backlash.
So what happens then is, what do? Let me follow.
Go with the flow.
Let me go with the flow. So that is where, for me, a bunch of these things are coming from, because we know that these things are not it.
But they are influencing decisions today.
That's what I'm saying. That is because we have lost it as individuals. We've lost our individuality. That is the word I'm looking for. Thank you. We have lost it. We have the head mentality. Where the head goes, we go. But the thing is, where the head is going, will it augur well for you? Let's take this. Let's take this wedding thing, for instance.
Yeah.
When did weddings become this ostentatious? Why? If you don't have that wedding, will you die? But now everybody is towing that line. Expensive wedding gowns, expensive decor, and what even bore me the most, the cake.
They prepare
The
for the
flying
wedding.
cake.
Bless
They
you.
prepare for the wedding.
But between KB and myself, that's what helps our job. Because I think the whole world runs on interest. Because you see, sometimes you may want to think around the matter. I have spoken harshly against it because I believe strongly that when it comes to your financial capacity, do what you can afford. But when it becomes a demand on another person,
the head mentality.
yes, the head mentality,
That is it
about
right there.
the demand there makes it very difficult for people to even function, and some of them even end up losing their relationships
That
because
is it right there.
we didn't build a website for our wedding. And I'm like, is that what you people disagreed on?
Yes.
That is what
Yes.
caused the breakup, because
A theme
she wanted
even.
the theme.
A theme for a wedding. I think there are themes for the weddings now.
They wanted a plane theme. Someone said,
Yeah.
I wanted a ship theme.
Well, me,
Yes.
the one I was about to MC, the lady was like, oh, the people in the neighborhood, everybody has a certain type of decor. She must have to have it. It's a certain neighborhood, I for so obvious side, and it almost became a deal breaker. Like, it's like almost. And the truth was that even the church, they had it. It was not that bad. The interior is like, no, Chinchina, they have to up the interior. And I'm like, Charlie, what is it with the interior?
I didn't have an interior. I think even the pastor of the church said that they don't allow decorations to prevent competitions.
Yeah.
And when I listened to him, I felt like this is a very brilliant initiative from the pastor.
Yes.
He said, well, in my church, no decor. We put the seats in front. You sit with your partner.
That's all.
The only people allowed to sit behind you are your best man and the maid of honor. That's it. The bridesmaids can sit in the congregation. They can sit amongst the congregation. Sorry. But let's take another comment. Producer has another comment for us. So let's take a look at the comment. If ya Afrakoma, she came with her name, Kasiepa. Never marry a guy with kids from previous marriages. And I am pushed to believe what Ginger is sharing with us. I think that for most of the comments that we are having on this particular issue, it would be, we can switch the bottles. So I think that it has to be about what someone has experienced now becoming the focus of their foundational advice. So you find yourself in a relationship and something has happened, and all of a sudden you deem it as a wisdom, and it becomes your foundational counsel. And you have become a marriage counselor now, and you're using just that to advise other people.
Do you
Because
see the head mentality?
the head mentality.
No, you see, I do look, for the life of me, okay, I do not understand why something as interesting as marriage, you would want to lay it apart and then reduce it to comments such as the one that just, but I don't understand why. Do you think marriage is a walk in the park? So why is everybody not doing it? I don't understand how somebody is brought up in Navrongo, somebody is brought up in Accra, and these two people are supposed to live in maybe say Bonwa Hafo and make it work.
You made it midway. That's the interesting part.
No, because that is what it is. Look, because in Ghana, siblings cannot marry, relatives cannot marry.
Upbringing.
Exactly. So how is it that you are meeting a total stranger and you're supposed to live with this total share everything, and you think the things that you should think about and talk about is the fact that he has
from
kids from the previous marriage?
No, somebody make me
Because there are successful marriages that they came into the marriage with kids from their previous relationship. So I think that there's been a lot of bitterness. There's been a lot of experiences, and a lot of people have taken these bitterness and they are passing it down to another generation. But surprisingly enough, that is where the inculcation comes in, and that's where we should be worried, because people are inculcating a certain idea into the younger generation, and they are beginning to pick it up. So one person has actually blocked their mind that, oh, a man with a child, and maybe that's who God has intended for you. Sometimes. Sometimes. That's who God has intended for you. But then the mind is blocked. Oh, a man who has a child. Someone said on social media that don't marry a man that has a kid from a previous relationship.
Especially if they are the influencer type. There are some people, personalities that are social media influencers.
Add the word "full" to it, because add 4 influencers. Don't give them any.
But then the flip side is what I think is a bit worrying. A lot of people rather are against you marrying a woman with kids, because the narrative is that whenever he goes to Kwesi Papa's house to go and collect Kwesi Papa's kids, then it's like chop money. Then
something happens. But what about the man? Are you saying that the man, if he also goes to visit his previous,
it's very likely she will rather come.
Oh, okay.
And so the discretion will be with the man. So it's like, I will send you more, but with the flip side,
come home and
the baby daddy can insist that Brefi and come for the money.
Brefi.
You see that expression? That's why I didn't want to go to. But when someone said chop money, I'm like, going for chop money.
Come around Brefi.
You are going for chop money. You get it.
But I think
you
before
can
you
say,
come
time
in, on the real though, you said something about you said you used the word. It's conflict with inoculation, indoctrinating.
Yes, inculcating a certain idea, mentality.
But you see, okay, so here's what Bible says. We have not everything is what there is this good.
Everything is permissible. Not everything is beneficial.
So how did we lose? There's even I think there's an account. Well, you will be saying So how did we lose sight of that so that everything somebody says become a gospel? It is because this our generation, we don't know who we are, we don't know what we stand for.
So how do we help the youth of today?
Okay,
I think that is why we should.
Number one,
yes, how do we help them draw a line? Because you see, there are plenty devices that we are using today, whether we like it or not. Ginger, the social media has come to stay. And it's much cheaper than the traditional media. The traditional media, it would mean that Pastor Newton needs to pay a media house an amount of money to be able to speak,
which we don't
have the money.
We don't even listen to.
But then if you have a Facebook account, if you have a TikTok account, you can go live, you can post, you can share your opinion, and because you have followership, like KB is saying, he's an influencer. Well, now I'm doing 72K on TikTok. So the probability of someone thinking that I am an authority in the relationship
on your followership
is very, very high. Because I have had series of phone calls. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have a plethora of messages in my inbox where people are like, "See, I have listened to you. Your opinions on, to be frank, I have a relationship problem." And there are some that when I'm done hearing them, I'm like, "See, you don't need
me. Yeah,
you need a clinical psychologist."
Wow.
Because I can admit that I'm not in the frame of mind, or I do not have the expertise to speak to the matter. But reason is, we must talk about it because not everybody would use my approach.
True.
Someone will try to fix it with their mentality, and that is where the head game comes in, like Ginger is talking about. So how do we help the youth today to distinguish between what used to be, what is right, and what is trending? Because the truth of the matter is there's a conversation, the school of thought that believes that we are not asking the right people the right questions about relationships.
It's true.
There are people who have not even thought of using their parents as a model when they have actually had good parenting and a good marriage. I'm not talking the ones with the exceptions. I'm talking about ones who have not even thought of speaking to mom, speaking to dad. Because for me, it has always been my parents. It has always been my mom. It has always been my dad. Because that's the first point of call for me. How is it that the youth of today are not able to really direct their questions to the right quarters?
Okay. When you're talking, an Instagram post came to mind. You know Pastor Mildred, right? Pastor Kingsley. Pastor Mildred. So recently I was on Instagram and then I came across a video of hers and she was asking a very pertinent question. And she was saying that, how is it that a certain aunt of yours, a certain mother of yours, a certain family friend you know has been married for 20, 30, 40 years and they are not your relationship goals, they are not your couple goals. You leave the people in your immediate surroundings and then you go out there to look for people that you do not know, you will never meet in your lifetime, and you are calling them your couple goals. I think we should come back home because at the end of the day, when we go out there, it is home that we come back to. So the question, and I don't mean home as in a physical home, but home is family. Home is home is community. Home is the people you are in your immediate surroundings. You have that family friend, you have a godmother, you have a godfather. Even when you go to church, there is this uncle and auntie in church.
Yeah.
Yes, you've been seeing them all these years, and most of us grew up in church. Whether I want to admit,
and they are accessible,
and they are in church.
Yeah.
So, and they are everywhere. So how are we not looking? So now we should come back home. Let's start looking within. Look at your parents. Forget about the few fights that you witnessed. That is not the issue. That is because of the individual differences. But on the whole, how have they been able to bring you up?
Is it the illusion of authority?
No.
Is it?
It is our need. You see, it is our need to break away. So this is what it is. Now, we don't have fortitude. We want everything. We are in the quick grab generation.
Yeah, we are in the fast food.
Thank you very much. So now we want everything that's permeated into. So we don't have the long suffering, the spirit of long suffering. We don't have it anymore. So that if maybe when she was growing up, mommy may have gone away for like a month or two, then that becomes her focus. That builds what she wants. I don't want me when I'm my husband and he does something, maybe I'll take my back. Forget that she went for 2 months and she came back and there for 33 years. What happened? No, really, what? No, because it happened.
Yeah, that's facts.
There were spots. So the spot happened, but they've been together. And they are so every day. You start that they will call her every day. If I come and tell you, she'll come and tell her things. If I want to come and say his own. But last they are still together.
Yeah.
So why don't you rather come back home and pick those ones and leave these people that we do not know?
KB, is it that we have made marriage or a relationship a place of no wrongs?
I think I'll blame production, storylines, Hollywood, Bollywood, Gollywood. I think because we all every human being or most human beings, we suck at being perfect. We always create that perfection outside reality into the virtual, into movies, and we all want to plug in.
It's true.
It's only natural you want to plug into where in Buddhism it's called nirvana. It's like Charlie, the state of bliss, and Charlie, you have overcome. So that is why for some strange reason people actually assume somebody who plays a good husband in a movie is actually a good husband. But if you check your statistics, if you follow your actors and your actors, they are one of the people with the most
high divorce rates.
Exactly. So it tells you that they also just plug in. So I think somebody has to give the youth a reality check that guys, girls, all that you are seeing with Jennifer Aniston, Eddie Murphy, and it is a script. They always wake up in a movie with makeup on. Who wakes up to the husband or wife with makeup on, right? Or looking like some fresh boy who just came for some woman came from Ghana, most beautiful? That is a script. So it's like maybe 3 years into the marriage, she wakes up and her face is like Charlie some Bolly. Then it's like this girl
that's not what I bargained for.
Yeah, but in the movie, especially with series, you know, series are back to back. Some of us we
followed about 9.
For example, like
seasons.
Prison Break. Michael Scofield became those of us who follow Prison, like somebody we knew, like some brother from US that like we knew, but he was just playing a role. So I think is the that blur line, drawing that blur line between virtual
media production, the plethora of channels, and the consumption rate of the people.
Yes,
but
the expectation.
Okay, so we have more passive audiences than active audiences. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That people are being very passive with it.
What I have seen is we are capitalizing on the current civilization's need to plug into perfection. Okay. So business organizers or media organizers are now taking advantage. For example, you guys were mentioning expensive ceremonies. It is actually it is
a created perfection.
It's a created perfection.
Yeah.
It's like if you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have this,
like that.
And people don't do you know what I'm saying? Like this.
I like that.
People don't do what?
Your wedding must come with
Exactly.
If that aspect of the
then it's like you have lost out.
It means that you didn't do it perfect.
And I don't know. We have become so fickle-minded that these are the little things that we actually think is reality. That is the problem. And guess what? Anybody, because of cancel culture, anybody who is bold enough to call it out as it is, we are quick to cancel the person. That is why for some people like me, as controversial as the brand was, we need a healthy version of Bongo ideas. We enough of the
someone to whip people in the line.
Why not?
Why not? That's why we have the military. Like the military, that's why they stay in barracks. They don't affiliate too much. They don't go soft spots for, excuse me, civilian nonsense. Because you have to have a group of people that when they are coming to straighten. Because we all want to be liked. It's a human thing. And once we all want to be liked, it is very difficult to go outside the status quo to get the right thing done.
True. But the Newton, so this whole conversation that we're having, a lot of people have asked that. Then what is the way forward?
I think, as I said last week, the manual is there to follow, which is the Bible. Understanding what God meant for marriage to be.
God bless you, sir.
Yeah, the Bible, we are taking things out because sometimes people do things, you ask them, what is the scripture saying? And they themselves don't know, but they claim to be Christians. They've built their lives on my mother said, my father said, pastor said, everything. So it's just like the Bible just opposed the people of Berea to Thessalonica.
Yeah, the people of Berea.
That after what Apostle Paul and others came to preach, they went to search the scriptures
to make sure it was
and also allowed the Holy Spirit to teach us. Because sometimes certain things you saw Ginger and the husband fight about. For us, we've been fighting about it, but we have ways we go
to
about
resolve it.
Yeah, because I believe marriage is a place for two imperfect people and trying to take Jesus Christ as the model. Because if you look even in the Bible, God just opposed marriage like Jesus marrying the church. So we have to understand that there will be difficult times, that we have to prepare for it. And I also believe that the young people of today are preparing for weddings instead of marriages.
Amen.
They are preparing for weddings. So last week, as I told Apostle here, that I know a marriage that just lasted for 7 hours.
How?
After the wedding and at the hotel. The guy, when they got to the hotel and they were changing, the guy just removed his boxers and just threw it his leg to another place. The girl said, what nonsense is it, blah, 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 blah. She just took her things and left.
Jesus.
And that was it. They called the girl.
They didn't even get the opportunity to consummate it.
No.
So
I think it was the statue of the consummation, a boxer. No.
Yeah.
The boxer killed the man.
Oh,
Not necessarily the boxer was dirty or something.
The way
the way he
Yeah,
did it.
he thought he would go and hang it somewhere nice or fold it and put it
all
on. But and he was saying, is this what I'm coming to live with? Blah, blah, blah. But as Ginger was saying, we are from different backgrounds.
From Navrongo.
Different backgrounds. So we have to understand
that.
that. And I also think that church too should try and play a lot of role in this thing. Because I believe that the church is a place for holistic growth.
That leads me to my next question.
The church is
I will start from you because, this is where I side with KB. I'm coming. KB has had a very strong opinion about some of these things that we discussed. And for a while, I've had the time to moot over them. When we say the church should play a role, we are looking at, though the dynamics are different, but I want us to situate it in context. Yeah. We are looking at a 13-week counseling session.
13 weeks is what? 3 months and 1 week?
Yeah, 3 months.
For my place, it's 16 weeks.
It's 16 weeks. With a number of topics.
Yeah.
We do write exams.
We do no.
You should.
We do sex, we do finances, we do in-laws, we do managing your personal space, her needs, his needs, temperament and all that. After these 13 weeks, these people that have gone through these 13 weeks experience a 7-hour marriage. But we have our parents who were just called one morning.
No counseling.
Your mother says, hey, baby, how come? My mom used to say something and I've always kept it. She said when she was about to get married, this is what the mother said. Baby, I will come in Janin Befi. Asem Sia and yes, the kind ye That was the only advice the mother gave her. The only. And my big brother is 40. So clearly, we are talking about a marriage that has it has stood the times for a while. So then I asked myself, we have had every week new topic. Every week new topic. There are ones who cannot meet in person, they do Zoom.
Online,
they do online. And people are made to listen and do this and do that. But we are the ones. That is where when KB says that when we rely too much on the church, there's a place for family, culture, tradition to also step in. Not to put my dad's name out there. There was one day he called me and I hung up the call. He called again and I hung up. And because I have 2 phones, I picked the third one and I was like, I'm in a counseling session. Let me call you back. So after the counseling session, I called and said, "They are not much." Because he had not had that experience.
Yes.
So from someone living in that age, we must be careful to situate the context.
Yeah.
He would be wondering, you people go 13 weeks.
Yeah.
What are they telling you?
What
Are they telling you? So at what point are you saying the church should plug in?
So everywhere, aside counseling, even in the pulpit, some of the things talking, and just that, not the pastor using his preferences to preach, but what the scripture is saying. And then after, I believe a lot in mentorship. There shouldn't be, after the counseling, you leave the couples. Tag them with couples that are doing
people they can be accountable to.
Yeah. And those people too, don't just wait for them to come. You
Sometimes
check on,
they make the move.
Yeah, make the move, check on them. Because like some of these things that go on, let's say the issue when
the
it comes
boxer
to or the bedmatics things that come. Because one may be experienced, one is not experienced.
Okay.
So the first night there could be issues.
I think one pastor narrated a story. I think it was Pastor Kingsley or another Nigerian pastor. He said when they got there, they got to the hotel, the wife entered the bathroom and she locked it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he knocked and he was like, "Hey, madam, you are married though."
Calm down. I'm just...
and it didn't dawn on her.
Yeah.
She was like, "Hey, I'm still,
Yeah.
I'm still in that phase where I don't know that you should see my body."
Yeah.
So I actually thought that I'm supposed to go in there, freshen up.
but I need to freshen up because I've been dancing and
What
sweating.
if I want to
Let me-
join you?
I'll go stay outside.
Yeah.
No,
So,
it's okay.
yeah, so the mentorship, someone who checks on it, because there are some issues when it comes to bedmatics and those things. One, as I said, one is experience, one is not experience. I remember a couple I dealt with where for all the 3 months they've been doing whatever, the lady came to tell me that the guy wasn't entering the right place.
Ow!
She's heavy. So the friction was between the lady's thighs.
My father.
And to him, he thought,
My God.
but the lady doesn't know how to tell the man. Communicate. So that was where now I was then younger. I was preaching though, because like you said, sometimes when the people come to us about a problem,
How are you?
directing them to the right kind of, because sometimes I wasn't experienced, I wasn't married then. I could use the scripture to tell or certain things I have read through personal development and stuff, but I didn't know how they would take it. So I directed them to a grown couple who was playing with them. And yes, all polish this and that. Because even sometimes I had encouraged people to even read books and they will not read. Tim LaHaye and James Dobson like this. They go raw to even showing you pictures of even Bishop Dark's model marriage. Is there showing you how even the whatever and all those things. And couple you can freely meet and they will meet you and they are asking you. Because like my church, one of the marriage counselors, when they meet, they don't ask, if the first question, bedroom or call. Because if that side, that department is going well, other department too.
It will spill over.
That's the administration block. But Ginger, before that, kindly hold that thought. I want us to go quickly. It's exactly 3 p.m. I want us to pick a message.
Okay.
A message from Apostle Femi Lazarus that I chanced on this afternoon. And I thought that it was striking. Very, very striking. And it was just ideal for this age. So producer, if you're ready with Apostle Femi Lazarus' message, kindly play it for our friends in the studio. Let's take a look. Can we please get the volume of the video?
Media standard.
Can you start the video all over again, please?
There is the consequence
and increase the
of
volume for
building
us.
your home on media standard. Movie knowledge standard. There are movies you watch. The moment you watch that movie, at least you need a week to reset again, because the movie is bitter, the storyline is painful. In fact, it becomes even more dangerous for those who are single. There are many single people that when they hear about trouble, they are afraid to death. That you mean the freedom I have now, one man will come and everything. That's your thoughts, but that's not the reality. It is your fears changing your perception. The ideologies on social media is not the Bible. The fact that it has 2,000 likes doesn't mean God likes it. You might just have community of hateful people. who are bandwagon following themselves. There are women and men podcasts you should unfollow now.
Yeah.
What happens there is that women will come and everybody is sharing painful stories about their husband. Everybody, painful. So what happens as you are reading them daily? You are making decisions about what doesn't exist. You go back with that decision and anger and venom. You are looking for an innocent man and you vomit on him. Women are not victims. Stop the nonsense. I shout that spirit down. I shut it down from this generation. We know ourselves, we are the ones that, no! You are not a part of them. Get out of that thing. Man, say after me loud and clear, we are not victims. Come on, say it again, say it again. The fact that your birthday was forgotten doesn't make you a victim. The fact that they celebrate whether Father's Day or Brother's Day or whatever once a year doesn't make us victims. We are not victims. If many people will believe what is written in the Bible the same way they believe what is on Facebook, on Twitter and Instagram, their life will be better.
Yes.
Please, I want us to shout it again loud and clear. I am not a victim.
I am not a victim.
And trust me, I think it was God that sent me the video.
It was.
Because I was going through my mind, and the reason why I think that the message is just perfect for the conversation we are having. I hear a bit of what KB shared with us, the movie standard knowledge, a bit of what Ginger has shared, and what your last point, the Bible being like, what is the Bible saying about it? But today is all about the movie knowledge. And what was striking to me personally is because we also have our podcast, I get to listen to other podcasts. And there are certain podcasts, you watch it, and they're a group of women. I'm not trying to be biased or anything.
Brother, say it.
And all they are doing is just sharing bad stories. Painful, hateful speeches. Like, so sometimes, do you know, sometimes I even ask, are there good men out there?
Wow. Yeah.
Because ever since I have followed that particular podcast, it's one bad story and the next.
Unfollow it.
One bad story and the next.
Unfollow it.
That is where the issue is. Bring in your thoughts and touch on what Apostle
okay. So I was going to say that, look, Pastor Newton, the church is doing what the church has to do. But we are treating marriage like an exam that we have to pass, a paper that we have to pass. So we have boxes. We have boxes of our lives.
Boxes or
boxes.
We
have boxes that we have to check.
One box brought 7 hours.
I know. You are back. We have boxes that we have to check at every point in our lives. And these are self-made. This has got nothing to do with the plan God has for our lives. We put the boxes down ourselves. That, okay, when I turn, by 18, I'm out of SS. By 24, I'm done with uni. I'll do my service 1 year and then I'll marry. So by the time those 5 years comes to pass, she's ready for marriage in her mind, according to the box that she's made.
So whatever it takes for her,
so she has to do it by hook or crook.
By hook or crook,
because according to her, she has set the time for her life because she created herself. So she has decided that, okay, here's what she will do, that which please, forgetting that there is a master plan. We are in the church, but we still have all these worldly ideas infiltrating. In fact, there are strongholds in our minds and in our lives that we feed daily.
We must pull them down.
We have to pull down the strongholds until we get to the point where we admit that these are strongholds that have no place in our minds. This is what we will come to. The church is doing what the church has to do. I'm holding brief for the church because I know this counseling thing that you are talking about. There are people who do not even belong to the church, but when they are ready to marry,
they quickly rush to the church.
Thank you.
That, they come and say that, we are members.
And the materials that they are giving, they treat it like so their focus is not the marriage. Their focus is to cross that bridge. Now, when you move from the life boxes, they have the husband boxes, they have the wife boxes, and they have the marriage boxes. So we have boxed everything up. So we have invisible and invisible pencils that we are constantly checking. So as there's a marking scheme for you that you have no idea exists. Oh yes, every day, every time.
I'll ask my wife later.
Please do. I'm pretty sure she had one, because we are advised that, okay, here's what we'll take the verse, man, know thyself. What makes Tim LaHaye, he has a book, why you do the way? I mean, there's a book about temperament.
And why you behave the way
and there's
you
another one,
do.
the spirit-filled man, and then the other one that talks about temperament
So are
in
there no
marriage and
Ghanaian
all that.
artists?
No, these are
They
books.
don't write. They are
These are
orators.
these
Yeah.
are
I
books.
think that most Ghanaians
There's
are orators.
always a Western pattern.
Yeah.
All the
Those
time.
Because
who
they do
write
the
to-
research.
I
Those
wondering
who
why.
write to, we don't push them. Like Openi Kojo and other people write. But
So you
yeah,
see
books.
some of our challenges.
But
So
they used
there
to
are
be
cultural-
orators.
They are
There
not
more
indigenous.
orators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So the cultural.
Yes.
Yeah. You
But-
have a lot of cultural
No,
shocks. and all
I
that.
agree, but when it comes to the issue of temperament and all of that, I
Yeah,
think
they are
temperament
holistic.
cuts across.
Okay.
So we
Madam,
have all
I
these.
disagree. But
Okay, that's fine. So we have all these boxes that we are checking, and we've had them for so long that they have become a part of us. They are subconscious. So we do them without realizing that we do them, and then what happens is that because we are not conscious that we are doing them, when it is brought to light, then we push against it because our conscious mind feels like, no, I don't know this, but meanwhile it is in your subconscious, which is doing everything. And this is one of some of the issues that the church is facing. Look, you can work magic in 13 weeks. The church can, because it's a church. So it's a holistic thing. The 13 weeks for me is enough. But the thing is, what are you bringing? How are you approaching those 13 weeks?
That's interesting because there's another angle to the conversation, and I'm glad she brought it up because I didn't really look at it from the perspective of I want to cross and do the wedding. There are people who already had their mindset.
Yeah.
So regardless of what the counselor is saying
So whatever they
during the
decide.
session, finish talking.
I'm fulfilling all right.
So the mind is just finish talking
yes, and let me go.
and let me go, and that is dangerous.
Yeah, but
also.
smart. I was bringing like a rebuttal, but I allowed her to finish. All that she was quoting was Western, and I don't know. I have this as soon as I have. Oh, let's share a Pan-African perspective. Do you know what people actually think I'm talking about? Oh, let's put
Kwame Nkrumah.
leaves in our neck. Let's walk barefooted with carries in our hair. And like, what is in? As soon as can we have a Pan-African perspective? Then that's what they think. Like, so Ulomo level will be.
But you
I
believe
don't
strongly.
know. I don't think
so
that at
he
all.
thinks that culture has
No.
a
So-
way.
The
okay.
nuances
But-
are
so here's
different.
what-
Precisely.
The
The
nuances.
No,
Because
so in this case, with the books that I'm referring to, if there are African,
Perspective.
please bring them out.
how
I
come
don't
you
mind
didn't
reading
know?
them.
It tells us something.
Brother, when I
Do you
pick
know why I
my
mentioned
means that
Prison
our
Break?
people-
Do you know why I mentioned Prison Break? Because that is top of mind. That is what is the series that if there was a Ghanaian, I would have mentioned it. You get where I'm
So
coming
the thing
from?
to they can
So-
exist and you don't know.
No,
Temperament
the fact that we
for
don't
me.
know, even as I'm assuming the two of you are not less than 5-year Christians, the fact that you don't have Ghanaian
on
nuance
temperament.
on relationship and books, or they are not your top of mind. It is telling me something.
No.
Maybe I'm picking on the two of you person. Maybe in the
No.
generic sense, what I'm trying to say is, we were surprised our parents had better relationships and marriages because there are nuances in the African context that it does not exist in Minnesota,
I
Cincinnati,
agree.
or
I
Tennessee.
agree.
That is it.
I
So
agree.
let's be careful because as soon as you go online, whether it's India, they are bringing their values, what their society thinks is the ish.
Yeah.
Then we want to contextualize in Ghana. So now it's like, oh, Onika Kisa, he's probably a lazy guy. But in Ghana, to even get a bicycle to buy is another
It's no
conversation.
joke.
Even own your own prepaid is another conversation.
And buy
So-
your own house. It's
And
a
by,
different
so I'm saying
conversation.
that I feel, so correct me if I'm wrong, I feel we are over borrowing. And we are expecting our relationship to do well, but the textbook and the syllabus is different.
He's talking about the integration of the cultural values.
We don't even integrate. We
I
impose
I
cultural
I
imperialism.
appreciate where he's coming from, but where I took my point from was the basis of the church, of
so
the faith. Of
you
the
are
Christian-
looking-
but
no,
she-
I'm coming.
Okay,
no.
so
My-
let Ginger.
no,
Let
so
Ginger.
my
Let me
own
say
is-
that you clarify.
Okay.
How come your top of mind authors
Books.
or whatever was not Ghanaian or African?
Okay,
Because so
Uh-huh.
so let me say this for instance. So me, when
When
we say the church,
so you don't
yeah,
get
so
to mention
no,
that
no,
one.
I'm not even going to.
But why
no, last
can't
no,
you?
last
No,
time, no.
it's just upon us.
No, yes, sir. No, but
Uh-huh.
last time I checked, when we say Christian faith, Christianity cuts across.
Yeah, we shouldn't
It doesn't matter whether I am
The
black
race
or
or
I'm
yeah.
red or whatever it is. You understand? No, once your book, I'm coming. Once your book is based on sound doctrine, I don't see a problem
Madam,
with it.
a
Neighbor,
culture
neighbor,
is
neighbor.
imposing
And
on Christianity.
take
You are
the books
refusing to
No,
accept
the
it.
books that I am talking about, for instance, temperament. There is even nothing remotely, what do you call it? Take away the the examples that are given, temperament is stripping you to your core.
Guess what? In
of
Africa,
who you are.
a choleric
And I'm
husband
saying
is
that-
defined differently from a white choleric
no, it
husband.
is
I'm
not.
telling you.
It is not.
Excuse my Spanish. Then
It is
in this context,
because-
in Africa, when you're, so for example, I'll let you continue. Let me correct it. Even with cholerism, in the Western this thing, in Africa, when they say somebody is choleric, it's like when you are dating their sister, you better be careful. He will come and tell you his mind. But in the foreign, in the Western way, even telling somebody your mind, because you have to be careful. There's this thing when you go to the police, you can't come near me. Oh, restricted.
Yeah.
Restraining order.
Those type of funny things. I'm not saying.
But what are the
nuances?
What are the
When you say somebody's melancholic in Africa,
across
it's
board.
difficult.
Okay, so question, Ginger, question for KB. What are the underlying traits of a melancholic? That I think that is the argument of Ginger.
Okay,
Mine
so
is-
in Africa,
mine is a
underlining
temperament thing,
trait.
because-
in Africa,
So-
we are brought up to be mild, like the females. Then that is when the gentleman will think she's melancholic, but she's just kowtowing to societal of a definition of a feminine person or feminine energy. So melancholic as much she's just being societal. Then you go, you were thinking she is not.
But that's
So,
a natural.
Even,
hold on.
even with the
Hold on.
concept of
That's a
temperament,
natural
there are
behavior
blends.
influenced by environment.
Yes,
which is
so-
very different
so
from
now
temperament.
let's do
I'll give
the
you an
correct
example.
definition.
I'm giving you
When
an
we say
example.
somebody's
Temperament
melancholic in the
is-
African context,
I'm
it's
giving-
important.
Nobody is
Let
a
me give you an
pure
example.
temperament. There are blends.
When someone,
Nobody is pure.
forgive me, if the person grew up somewhere in the north,
Uh-huh.
okay, the kind of food they are exposed to, the kind of lifestyle they are exposed to, the sun they have dealt with. If you move this person into the western region, where they have to now deal with a lot of rain, they have to now deal with a different kind of lifestyle, the probability of this person changing is high.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
As compared to one who lived in the north, schooled in the north,
Yes.
married in the north,
Yes.
started a family in the north.
Yes.
They are going to be different people.
Yes.
It does not necessarily mean that their temperaments are different. It means that there is an influencing factor
Yes.
of the environment.
Yes, but the external
So
plays
if you
a
meet
role.
a lady, I'm
Okay.
driving a
My
point.
bad.
If you meet a lady that a lot of people say, oh, she's quiet, she doesn't like to talk. What if she lived with her auntie, her uncle, some
Or she grew up as a
well-to-do,
house help.
yeah. But now that you, Pastor Newton, married her, she has a freedom now.
To
She
express
knows that
herself.
she's safe in your hands. So she will demonstrate what she's supposed to demonstrate. That does not take away the person's temperament because the underlying traits must be there. My argument was, let us state the underlying traits. Though I do agree with the cultural
Yes,
integration.
and let's redefine it in our context.
What we are
not.
missing, what we are missing is the influence of the cultural values of the country we live in.
The West is imposing.
Yes.
And that is my problem. Because the fact that she mentioned Tim Lahaye and all this, to me, it tells me something. And
Okay,
by the
so
grace
here's
of God,
what.
she
But
might
you
know.
don't
So
agree
here's
with
what- no,
Pastor
here's
Newton
what.
that the absence of evidence
Guess
is
what?
not the
Guess what?
evidence of
Guess what?
absence.
Guess who our quintessential role models in marriage are in Africa? Abraham and Sarah. They were in the Middle East. As much as I respect the fact that they are in scripture, some of their nuances and their challenges and their day-to-day lifestyle adjustment they have to make, it is not like Tiwa and Kweku Kwati in Kumeu. So what KB the MC's problem is that let's be careful how we over role model in different contexts. We should always
Okay.
have.
Then I think he has lost me because what I wasn't role modeling.
Yeah.
We were so he will said a point about the church's contribution in this whole marital
Yes.
thing, and I come back and say that here's what the church is doing, that which the church is doing, but then we have our own strongholds in our mind based on what some things we have been through.
Now,
I'm
Ginger,
coming.
what the
Then
church is
I
even
am
doing.
coming. I am
The
coming.
13
I am
weeks
coming.
model
I am
is
coming.
Western.
I am
Maybe
coming.
lay her land.
Well, you see, whether it is Westing or it is for you, agree with me that
The purpose of the session
thank you
is
very
to
much.
educate.
And beyond that,
But
the
the
people
origin
know.
matters.
It
It
has,
has to be
it has, no,
accelerated.
it has gone
Underlining,
through.
underlining
it's
is also
education,
key.
so there need to be
Before we
accelerated.
Underlining
came,
is key because at the end of the
before we
day,
even got there,
someone can use a microphone to indoctrinate people to do the bad thing.
Let me give you one example and I'll
what-
shut up.
what
For example,
Ginger
the
is saying-
13-week thing. Does it have a case where your auntie or your the would-be groom's mom comes to
It
the
is
girl's
there.
house
There is
for her
family.
to cook,
There is family.
for her to cook for them to taste,
There is a family.
like they do in our traditional
is that,
settings.
is that,
That's
is
not
that, no,
applicable
that
in
is
every
not. That
tribe.
But
doesn't work.
I'm coming.
It's not
I'm coming.
applicable
I'm
in
coming.
every
I'm
tribe.
coming.
That is not a
It's
standard.
something that it is very peculiar to Africans. Your mother-in-law wants to know if you can cook for their son.
Did
So-
your
no,
wife, did your wife cook for your
no.
family before marrying you?
I'm saying that.
Did
No, that is
Individual
that
or
is an
generic?
No, did she
overgeneralization.
cook for your family? before?
Personally,
Generically,
No.
generically, there's a perception of domestics, but it might not apply in Tennessee or
I'm
Chicago.
not doing generics here. I'm
No,
asking
I'm
a
saying, that,
specific question.
I'm saying that in the cultures that we are talking, the 13-week thing, do we have situations where the mother, will be mother-in-laws, goes and check the cooking or taste it in
Why
the
should
13
she?
week?
But it's not
Why
applicable
should
to every
she?
tribe.
But why should she?
But it
So
is
don't make-
something
don't
that
in
make
this
it
day and
sacrosanct.
age,
don't forget that there's something about cooking in our context that as much as we don't want to shame a woman who cannot cook, which I don't think we should, subliminally, our parents' age, they will want to know if their would-be daughter-in-law can cook. Not what, but like can make the gentleman eat at home and
So-
be comfortable. So that 13-week model that she is prescribing, as international as it
didn't
is,
prescribe
it is not Ghanaian.
No.
I
Okay,
beg
also
to
wait,
differ.
also
No.
the
There are-
13-week. Is
there
there
This
are-
one,
a
I
place
beg
where
to
the would-be
differ.
mother-in-law
This
goes
one,
to
yeah.
to make the
No,
lady
I
cook
think-
for them to taste?
No, the varying,
Aha.
the
So
varying
you see-
approach. No, there
No,
are
it's-
varying approaches. I mentioned a number of weeks. He
Yes.
corrected by saying yes is
13,
different.
yes.
It
Each
da-
church is different.
KB, let us land at the point.
Exactly.
But you are not
Because-
rebutting the fact that in Africa cooking
My
can
intent-
become a big
But
deal.
that is not the issue.
My-
Why is it not the
My
issue?
intent
We're
is
talking
not
about
to rebut.
African marriages.
But
are not
my
talking about
intent-
African
My
marriages.
intent is not
I'm not
to
even
rebut.
intend to be sexist that women should be kowtow to the kitchen. I'm saying that in Africa, you want to know if your would-be daughter-in-law
My
can
point
cook
is-
and cook well.
My point has been.
You will want to know.
Yeah.
Maybe in Connecticut or in Maryland, or it might not be the case because the white man, the white mother-in-law, they eat out. They can order in
Okay, so
steak.
here's what.
So I'm saying that there are certain nuances that we are skipping. So the 13 week can also
Here's
go and
what.
revise it. Make sure it's indigenized.
But then again, we didn't just lift and apply.
No, we didn't.
That is
Well,
what
I was
that is what we
considering
must
a
all.
holistic-
I'm sorry.
No,
Keep
go
losing
I
ahead.
my
think
voice.
KB didn't get.
He did not
So
even
let me
allow
get
me
it.
to
You
even
didn't allow Ginger,
conclude. I
because
didn't
you
even
see,
finish.
in as
Once
much
I
as-
mentioned
It started with
your
Tim
name,
Lahi.
then
Nah,
It
yes,
started with
that-
Tim
that-
Lahi, and
she
I
was
said you should
talking
mention
as a Christian.
at least
I was-
two.
For Christians,
Ghanaian-
we are not traditional.
That is
or
where we
whatever.
get it wrong. Everywhere the Holy Spirit is that what Paul said, I'll be all things to all men. He was talking about nuances. It could be cultural, it could be tribal, it could be regional, it could be topographical. I'm saying that when you go to places where women clad themselves to their feet, like the Middle East, and you are having a church service and you're having a youth service, it will be different from